Fantasy fanfiction. Konoha. The entire ninja world is my resurrection coin. Chapter 1. Year 35 of Konoha. Nearly 20 years have passed since the end of the First Shinobi World War. The economic gap between countries has widened. On the grounds of increasing fair privileges, the power of martial arts factions in each country has risen. Rain Shinobi Village is becoming stronger and stronger under the leadership of Hanzo, and it has the potential to challenge the status of the five great powers. He is trying to annex the surrounding land to strengthen the power of Rain Shinobi Village, in order to get rid of the status quo of the Rain country becoming a battlefield for the great powers. Konoha, Sand Shinobi, Rock Shinobi, Rain Shinobi and even samurai from the Kingdom of Iron gathered in the Kingdom of Rain. The chaotic and complicated situation created a depressing atmosphere. The Second Ninja War is on the verge of breaking out. But this is just the tip of this chaotic ninja world. Kurigakure and Cloud Shinobi Village on the other side did not intervene in the chaos in the Land of Rain, but they were not willing to remain silent. The country of Whirlpool, Whirlpool Village. The peaceful village of Yuhi no longer exists, and the fog covers the entire kingdom of Whirlpool. In the white mist, the sounds of fighting and screams came one after another, and the air was filled with the smell of blood. Countless ninjas wearing mist shinobi forehead protectors were walking on the streets of Uzushio village holding ninja tools, watching indifferently as the red-haired people in front of them fled in fear. Men, women, old people, children. Their blood is the same red, just like the Uzumaki clan's unique red hair. We are allies of Konoha. If you kill us, aren't you afraid of Konoha's revenge? Facing the siege of mist shinobi ninjas, a red-haired girl yelled angrily. Her name is Uzumaki Kushina, the daughter of the Uzumaki clan leader and the princess of the Uzumaki country. But she was only 8 or 9 years old and had no fighting ability. She could only watch her tribe members being killed one by the enemy, and the entire country was covered in flames of war. But the two mist shinobi ninjas headed across from them smiled disdainfully. One of them wears a ninja hat and beard, and holds an axe connected to a hammer. One had long orange hair, a fluffy bandage wrapped around his neck, and a bandaged weapon on his back. None other than Kurigakure's elite Jonin, the first of the 7 ninja swordsmen, the wielders of the blunt sword Kabutori and the broadsword Samahata, the Toko no Yuki and the watermelon mountain Fugu Oni. Facing Rain Shinobi, Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi at the same time, Konoha is now unable to protect itself. Do you think they can still find the strength to rescue you? Even if there is, does Konoha dare to confront us Kurigakure at the same time again? Obviously hand over all the sealing techniques of the Whirlpool Kingdom, and maybe your death will not be so painful. A mocking smile appeared on the watermelon mountain puffer ghost's mouth, and its sharp teeth shone with a bloodthirsty cold light. Otherwise, my Samahata will not mind peeling off your flesh layer by layer on your body. Such a cute girl, I don't know how beautiful the screams will be when the time comes. The terrifying words made the girl take a step back, and Uzumaki Kushina had a look of shock and anger on her face. If we hand over the sealing technique, can you let us go? An old man hurriedly stepped forward to protect Kushina and other Uzumaki tribesmen behind him. After the death of the last patriarch of the Uzumaki clan, the older generation of the Sengoku era eventually returned to dust. Under the protection of Konoha, the Uzumaki village, which had been far away from disputes all year round, could no longer find any clan members who could defeat the ninjas in front of them. The two ninjas in front of them killed at least hundreds of Uzumaki clan members. The old man's eyes were sad and angry. But as the leader of the Uzumaki clan and the strongest ninja in Uzumaki village, he must stand up to protect the clan members behind him. Who knows? It is the common interest of all countries to let you perish. The long orange hair of the watermelon mountain puffer ghost suddenly exploded, and countless strands of hair were quickly ejected like a heavy rain. Thousands of needles. Chief Uzumaki was shocked, but he had no ability to react to such a sudden attack, and could only barely protect Kushina behind him with his body. Chief Uzumaki spat out a mouthful of blood from the corner of his mouth, but what shocked him even more was the fact that the other tribesmen behind him fell down in this move. Ah! They screamed in pain, and then fell into a pool of blood. Chief Uzumaki could feel the chakra in their bodies gradually disintegrating. Sadness, anger, resentment, helplessness, despair. Then came the decision. He opened his clothes, revealing the black spells etched on his body. Sealing technique, seal of the four symbols. The Uzumaki clan leader yelled angrily, and black chakra erupted from his body. The Watermelon Mountain pufferfish ghost and the Tongsao Yabayman looked at him in surprise, including most of the mist shinobi ninjas in the Vice Admiral. The Watermelon Mountain puffer ghost and the Tongsao wild bait man hurriedly used the body flicker technique to escape from the range of the black chakra, but the other mist shinobi ninjas did not have such reaction capabilities and could only be pulled in the direction of the Uzumaki clan leader by the black chakra in horror. What is this? The sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan. They tried to urge chakra to break free from the shackles of the sealing technique, but were unable to do so. They could only be sealed into the body by the Uzumaki clan leader in horror. But the Uzumaki clan leader was not overjoyed at all when he defeated dozens of enemies with one move. Looking at the frightened Watermelon Mountain puffer ghosts and Tongsao wild bait people in the distance, the eyes of the Uzumaki clan leader gradually lost color. Feeling the passage of life, he barely summoned up the strength to shout anxiously to Kushina behind him. "Run! Kushina, you are the last survivor of Uzushio village, you must survive." What a terrifying force. Looking at the body of the Uzumaki clan leader that was still standing even after his death, Tongsao Yaito couldn't help but feel a sense of fear. But suddenly he appeared in front of the Uzumaki clan leader with a fierce look on his face. Kabuto punch. The Tongsao wild baitman hit the Uzumaki clan leader hard with a hammer. The leader of the Uzumaki clan couldn't even scream, and was instantly crushed into pieces of flesh and blood flying everywhere. Then, the Tongsao Yabayman looked at Uzumaki Kushina, who was running away in embarrassment, and said to the Watermelon Mountain pufferfish ghost behind him, "I'm going to find the sealing scroll of the Uzumaki clan. You go and kill the survivor." "Yes." The Watermelon Mountain blowfish smiled sinisterly and left in the direction where Kushina escaped, but did not use the body flicker technique. With a bad personality, he planned to play tricks on the girl and make her die in fear and despair. What a fool. Follow him and don't let him ruin our plan. Yes. The two Mist Shinobi Anbu members behind Tongsao Yabai instantly used the body flicker technique and disappeared. Tongsao Yejiren snorted coldly, and slowly walked towards the house behind the Uzumaki clan leader with the remaining Anbu ninjas. They came with a mission this time and had no time to play with this idiot who had just obtained a ninja sword. Soon, the Tongsao Yejiren found the secret room where the Uzumaki family stored all sealing techniques. In this way, the mission given to us by 3rd Mizukage-sama will be completed. Soon, we will have the same sealing technique as Konoha. Kurigakure, you will soon have the same power to control tailed beasts as Konoha. The corner of Tongsao Yabayman's mouth couldn't help but smile, but he found out. The seal scrolls that should have been displayed in the room had already been swept away. The smiles on the faces of all Mist Shinobi ninjas immediately turned into anger. Who is it? Cloud Shinobi Village. Didn't they agree not to interfere in the situation in the country of Whirlpool? This has cost us Mist Shinobi a lot. Just when Tongsao Yabayden was angry, screams suddenly sounded from Tongsao Yabayden's ears. At the same time, a black snake that had been lurking around suddenly jumped out and bit the wild baitman. Who? After all, he is Kurigakure's elite Jonin. The Tongsao Yabayman who is always on guard will naturally not be able to hit with such a simple sneak attack. The wild bait man moved his body quickly to avoid the biting fangs of the black snake. The black snake suddenly changed direction in the air and wrapped around the arm of the wild bait man. But then, the wild bait man in the grass turned into a puddle of water. It is Kurigakure's water body replacement technique. The real Tongsao Yabai man had already appeared in another location. He didn't pay attention to the companions lying in a pool of blood, and just looked at a shadow in the room. Are you from Konoha Anbu? Oh, you seem to be different from your companions. You are not the kind of little character who can be solved casually. That sword seems to be Kurigakure's 7 ninja swordsman, right? In the corner, a masked man with long black hair suddenly walked out of the darkness. Tongsao Yabayman also narrowed his eyes slightly. Konoha Anbu's snake, an elite ninja who walks in the darkness and completes countless high-level tasks for Konoha. Even in the Konoha Assassination Force, where your identity is hidden, your fame and skills have already spread throughout Kurigakure, and you occupy the top position in Mist Shinobi's bounty. Haha, then should I feel honored? Orochimaru smiled nonchalantly at the way the Tongsao Yebai man relied on words to delay time to confirm that there was no ambush around him. The masked Konoha Anbu is naturally Orochimaru, who is serving as Konoha Anbu at this time. Orochimaru raised his hand, and a white snake sprang out of his sleeve. The white snake opened its huge mouth, and a tachi fell into Orochimaru's hand. I heard that you Kurigakure Ninja Sword 7 are ninjas who are good at using ninja swords. I wonder, how does it compare to my Kusanagi sword? A hoarse voice came from behind the mask, and the wild bateman who had confirmed that there were no other ambushes around him couldn't help but snort. HMPH, then you should keep an eye on it. Dull knife, spin strike. The wild bait man swung his axe and spun around, and the strong wind pressure violently destroyed everything around him. Orochimaru held the Kusanagi sword in his backhand and collided with the axe, forcibly stopping the rotation of the axe. But Kabuto is not just an axe, the Tongsao has raised the hammer at the other end. The first one will win. The hammer struck the axe with terrifying power, and the huge force was transmitted along the axe to the Kusanagi sword. This is a surefire move that destroys the enemy's weapons together. No one has ever been able to block such an attack. The corner of Tongsao Yabayman's mouth raised a hint of confidence. But suddenly, he felt something was wrong. Why wasn't the ninja in front of him defeated instantly? What's wrong, the so-called 7 ninja swordsmen? Is this all your power? Orochimaru raised his head slightly, and plain words came from behind the mask. Tongsao Yabayman seemed to be able to see a pair of emotionless golden snake eyes through the mask. Orochimaru just held the Kusanagi sword with one hand and lifted it, then lifted the axe and hammer together. What kind of strange power is this? A look of shock flashed in Tongsao Yebairan's eyes. But after all, he is an elite who has experienced hundreds of battles. He quickly used this force to spin in a circle and swing the axe from the other direction. Orochimaru jumped up slightly and dodged the axe attack. At the same time, he thrust the Kusanagi sword down, jammed the blade connecting the axe and the chain, and forcibly fixed the dull knife Kabuto to the ground. Then, he raised his arm towards the wild bateman. Latent shadow snake hand. A big snake sprang out from Orochimaru's hand and bit the man on the neck of the wild bait man. Ah! The sudden pain on his neck made Tongsao Yebairan's eyes widen. He hurriedly tried to move, but found that his body could no longer move. The dark curse seal spread from his neck to his body. The seal of the curse. But Orochimaru just landed lightly on the ground and pulled out the tachi stuck in the dull sword Kabutori. Step by step, he walked up to the man named Tongsao and stabbed him straight in the neck with the Kusanagi sword. But the Tongsao Yaito, who was bound by the spell, could only look at Orochimaru's blade in horror. The blood caused the secret room to fall into silence again. Orochimaru gently wiped the bloodline on the Kusanagi sword, his eyes flickering slightly as he stared at the empty room. In this operation, Orochimaru, the captain of Konoha Anbu, was sent to the Uzumaki hidden village by 3rd Hokage. But his mission was not to rescue the country of Whirlpool, and there was no need to take any measures to deal with the massacre of the Uzumaki clan. The conflict between Konoha and Rain Shinobi, Sand Shinobi, and Iwagakure is currently intensifying. There is a possibility of war breaking out at any time in the Land of Rain. In Sarutobi Hiruzen's view, it is obviously not a wise choice to open the second battlefield now. The mission issued by Sarutobi Hiruzen this time is an S-class mission with the highest confidentiality level. The mission content is to take away an Uzumaki tribesman who can be used as a tailed beast container from the Kingdom of Whirlpool, and destroy the sealing technique of the Uzumaki tribe to ensure that they will not fall into the hands of the enemy. But how could Orochimaru have the heart to destroy such a treasure? Adamantine sealing chains, contract seal, tail-locking seal, ghoul seal, 4-elephant seal, 8-sign seal. Crack the Shinigami mask that seals away the ghouls. Strong perception ability. Able to seal the tailed beast's special physique and chakra. Uzumaki Ashina, the founder of Konoha's sealing technique, the leader of the Uzumaki clan, and the legendary ninja who established the Uzumaki village and formed an alliance with Senju Hashirama. This village has too many secrets, too many unknowns, and too much wealth. It is precisely because of this that as Captain Anbu of Konoha, he personally took over this task. Thinking about it, Orochimaru couldn't help but lick the corner of his mouth. In the war-torn country of Whirlpool, a girl ran in fear. At this moment, several hairs like 1,000 sticks flew towards him with the sound of breaking through the air. Kushina threw herself down in panic, narrowly dodging the attack. But the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost also caught up with Kushina. Master Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, stop playing around. It's better to get rid of her as soon as possible to complete the mission. Lord Tongsao Yebiron is probably almost done with his mission. Mist Shinobi Anbu, who had already eliminated the other Uzumaki tribesmen, suddenly appeared next to the Watermelon Mountain Fugu Ghost. Listening to the reminders from the two Anbu ninjas around him, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost turned his attention to Kushina, who looked frightened. I didn't expect that you are not a ninja, but you have good physical strength. But it seems my companions can't wait any longer. It just so happens that I'm tired of playing now. Head, limbs, neck, heart, where do you think I want to start dismembering you? Seeing Kushina's increasingly horrified look, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost grinned a ferocious smile and raised the Samahata, the sword behind him, high. Go to hell. Seeing the ninja sword approaching, Kushina couldn't help but close her eyes in despair. But at this moment, a gray snake suddenly sprang out from nowhere and wrapped itself around the Samahata sword of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost. Then, with his surprised eyes, he bit into his palm. The Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost jumped back in a hurry. Who? Looking in the direction of Uzumaki Kushina, a masked figure appeared there at some point. I'm so sorry, you can't kill this child. A hoarse voice came from behind the mask. Orochimaru's eyes stayed for a moment on Kushina, who fell on the ground next to him, and then turned back to the Watermelon Mountain Fugu Ghost and the Samahata sword in his hand. Under Orochimaru's cold gaze, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon couldn't help but take a step back. It's actually Konoha's reinforcements. Faced with the pressure from Rain Shinobi, Sand Shinobi, Rock Shinobi, you still dare to assist the country of Whirlpool and provoke a conflict with our Kurigakure. No matter what, I just need to kill you and continue to complete the mission. While the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost was talking, the other two ninjas of Mist Shinobi Anbu had already completed the seals. Water-style Water Dragon Bomb Technique. Water-style Water Dragon Bomb Technique. Two water dragons formed by the condensed water flow formed behind the two Mist Shinobi Anbu, and then flew towards Orochimaru from two different directions. But facing such a powerful attack, Orochimaru didn't even bother to blink. Wind-style Wind Cut Technique. Orochimaru quickly formed a seal, and a violent storm suddenly appeared in his hand, cutting the two water dragons directly. At the same time, the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Demon had already exploded his long orange hair, and launched countless thousand hair strands towards Orochimaru. Mao Gen Senbon. Careful! Kushina shouted anxiously. Although she didn't know the identity of this masked ninja, she knew that if he hadn't saved her just now, she would have died at the hands of the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost. Wind Style, Great Breakthrough. Orochimaru formed a seal with one hand, and suddenly blew out a strong wind from, but Orochimaru smiled. As soon as Orochimaru finished speaking, Samahata's sword, which had been absorbing chakra frantically, suddenly twitched crazily. Then, under the disbelieving gaze of the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, it turned into stone little by little. Creatures who do not know how to use magic cannot accept the unrefined magic chakra. What? How can it be? The Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost showed a horrified look, its eyes flickering. Then, as if he had made up his mind, he loosened his grip on Samahata's sword, and his hair exploded, shooting countless needles at Orochimaru. But Orochimaru just used his snake hands to drag up a Mist Shinobi Anbu and used his body to block the attack of the Watermelon Mountain Blowfish Demon. The Anbu ninja screamed in pain, but even after being stabbed into the body by Senbon, he could only spit out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes gradually lost their luster. As for the Zigwashan Puffer Ghost who launched the attack, after throwing down Senbon for cover, he dropped the Samahata sword and turned around and ran away. He used the body flicker technique and disappeared from Orochimaru's eyes in just a few breaths. Oh! Looking at the direction in which the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost disappeared, Orochimaru was also slightly startled. Master Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Demon. Seeing the Watermelon Mountain Blowfish Ghost fleeing from the battlefield, the Anbu ninja who was left entangled by Orochimaru had an incredible expression on his face. But Orochimaru had already bullied him, appeared in front of him, and strangled his neck with his other hand. Feeling the force from Orochimaru's palm, the Anbu ninja became increasingly difficult to breathe with a look of pain on his face. But I just sent the signal to our companions. Soon, Lord Tsukusa and other mist shinobi troops will arrive and kill you all. But in the face of such threats, Orochimaru's words did not waver. They're not coming, but you can see them soon. Then, without waiting for the two Anbu ninjas to respond, Orochimaru used a little force and completely broke their throats. They fell to the ground, twitched twice and stopped moving. Orochimaru finally turned his attention back to Kushina, who fell to the ground. Who are you? Kushina stared blankly at the man who saved her from the brink of death. It only takes a few seconds to kill the ninja who cornered her. The blood mist all around seemed unable to contaminate his body at all, and even Anbu's uniform was spotless. Orochimaru looked at the girl in front of him and smiled. The person he wants to bring back to Konoha in this mission is naturally Kushina, but it took a little effort to break the seal of the Uzumaki clan, obtain the Uzumaki sealing technique scroll, and find Shinigami's mask. I am the commander-in-chief of Konoha's assassination tactics special force. You can call me Snake. Orochimaru gently took off his mask, revealing his pale but slightly handsome face. Of course, you can just call me Orochimaru. Why? Why did they want to kill my relatives and friends? Why didn't you come to our rescue sooner? The red-haired girl cried like a tearful person. Kushina didn't complain about Orochimaru. She didn't think that Orochimaru alone could deal with the countless mist shinobi ninjas. For Konoha to be able to send a powerful ninja like Orochimaru to support them in a crisis situation is extremely benevolent. But there was nowhere to vent her inner grief. Thinking of the scene where her tribe members and her friends were killed one by one, tears could not stop falling from the corners of her eyes. Kushina buried her head in Orochimaru's clothes, as if she didn't want to be seen with such a weak side. Orochimaru gently stroked her long red hair. He would not tell Kushina that he had arrived at Uzushio village long ago, but he just watched helplessly as Mist Shinobi's ninjas wiped out Uzushio village, and only finally took action to kill all Kurigakure's ninjas. Nor would he tell Kushina that it would be a piece of cake for Orochimaru, who has already reached 5 Kage levels, to deal with the enemies of the land of Whirlpool. Uzumaki Mito's life is gradually coming to an end, and Konoha urgently needs the next Jinchuriki who can seal 9 tails. The Uzumaki clan with their special physique is naturally the first choice. The order he received this time was to take away Uzumaki Kushina, the princess of the kingdom of Whirlpool, whose physique was particularly outstanding even among the Uzumaki clan. As for the other Uzumaki clan members, he needed to ensure that these people would not surrender to Kurigakure and become enemies of Konoha. Special means are allowed if necessary. Konoha has mastered most of the sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan, and a second copy of such power will only become a potential threat. Even if the friendship between the two countries is unbreakable, the risk of the Whirlpool Kingdom leaking its sealing techniques to other major powers still exists. Orochimaru is only 22 years old this year, but he has already become the captain of Konoha's special assassination force. In another world, this age would have just graduated from school and entered society. But in this unstable world, Orochimaru, who is only 22 years old, has been working in Anbu for 5 years. His hands are stained with blood. He has been completely numb to killing after walking in the darkness all year round. Orochimaru, who serves as the captain of Konoha Anbu, is exposed to the darkest side of this glamorous world. Moreover, even if Orochimaru saved the country of Uzumaki once on a whim, he could not stay in this country forever to protect them. Years of peace have caused this powerful family in the Sengoku era to lose its power, but it holds a treasure that everyone covets. Their demise is only a matter of time. In this way, instead of fulfilling Mist Shinobi or Cloud Shinobi, it would be better for Orochimaru to take it into his own hands. Whether it's the corpses of the Uzumaki clan or all the sealing techniques of the Uzumaki country. War is a dirty game, and Orochimaru is just a dirty player who adapts to the rules of this game. Because your Uzumaki clan's sealing techniques are feared by countless people. I took you away not because of the alliance between the Fire Country and the Whirlpool Country, nor the friendship between Konoha and Uzumaki, but because you are a ninja with talent and can become a deterrent in the war that will follow. The so-called covenant is just a piece of waste paper. The result of relying on others is to make oneself weak. The only one who can save you is yourself. Orochimaru paused, his eyes flashing with unknown brilliance. All this is caused by your being too weak. Because you are weak, you can only sit back and watch these ninjas kill your parents, relatives, friends, and clan members one by one. And then live ugly with anger and hatred. Listening to Orochimaru's words, Kushina couldn't help but clenched her fists as she thought of the dead tribesmen in front of her. Seeing this, Orochimaru showed a slightly seductive smile. If you are tired of being weak and looking for a change, maybe I can give you a little help. Kushina, who was sobbing, slowly raised her head to look at Orochimaru, her eyes slightly red from crying. How do I get a power like yours? Just like you, the Uzumaki clan, use the sealing technique that you are good at to seal the tailed beast into your body and become Jinchuriki. You can use the power of the tailed beast to gain strength far beyond that of ordinary ninjas. As long as a part of me is implanted in your body, you can borrow my power. Orochimaru looked at Kushina's smooth and white neck and couldn't help but lick the corner of his mouth. You only need to endure a little pain to gain the power of revenge. This technique is called Heaven's Curse Seal. Did you successfully escape? Looking back at the Uzushio hidden village still burning in the flames of war in the distance, the Watermelon Mountain Fugu ghost couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. He didn't have much loyalty to Mizukage, so how could he put himself in a dangerous situation for the sake of the village's mission? Such a guy is probably a ninja of Mizukage-sama's level, so how can I possibly defeat him? The ninjas of Mist Shinobi will probably be slaughtered by him alone, right? At that time, I will be the only one who returns alive. Even Mizukage-sama will not be able to know that I escaped from the battle. But suddenly, Zigguashan Pufferfish Ghost's eyes widened. A red-haired girl with black flaming spells all over her body appeared on his path at some point. Seeing Kushina suddenly appearing in front of him, the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost immediately became alert. He tensed his body and quickly glanced around with his peripheral vision. His mind was spinning rapidly and he made a plan. If that terrifying ninja comes after him, he will immediately kneel down and surrender, using the village's information in exchange for Orochimaru to spare his life. Even if the matter is exposed, the worst he can do is leave Kurigakure and become a rebel ninja. With his strength, as long as he doesn't face these 5 level experts, where can he go without any worries? But he found no trace of Orochimaru. There was no suitable hiding place in the surrounding open ground. He finally turned his attention to the red-haired girl in front of him again. Kid, where's that Anbu ninja from Konoha? But Kushina, who was affected by the curse seal, just looked at the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost indifferently and answered with a slightly hateful tone. Killing you is enough with my current strength. In other words, the guy didn't follow. Thinking of this, the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost breathed a sigh of relief. Although he didn't know why this girl from the Uzumaki clan gave him a strange feeling, he immediately raised his arrogant and bloodthirsty smile after knowing that his opponent was Kushina. Without that Konoha shinobi, do you think you would be my opponent? Go to hell, Needlehead Chinbin. The hair of the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost flew out like a storm. But Kushina just looked at the overwhelming and dense attacks coldly. Then, she just turned her body slightly to avoid Chinbin's attack. Moreover, amidst the attacks from thousands of people in the sky, Kushina even still slowly approached the Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost. The Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost looked at this scene and suddenly felt something bad. Her strength is not at the same level as the one she just played with. What happened in those few minutes after he escaped? The entire Uzumaki hidden village has been destroyed by Mist Shinobi's Anbu, and the abnormality in Kushina can only be related to that Konoha Anbu. Adamantine sealing chains. Kushina suddenly shouted, and several golden chains flew out from behind Kushina. The Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost hurriedly avoided, etc. The Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost wanted to beg for mercy, but was directly interrupted by the golden chain, and he had to dodge hastily. Kushina, dominated by hatred, would not give him any room to speak. The golden chains danced wildly, suppressing the Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost for a moment. This is not the way to go. This guy doesn't listen to anyone at all. The Watermelon Mountain pufferfish ghost, who had been chased and beaten, also became angry. He grabbed the gap and leaned down, and his orange hair suddenly became hard. What I'm afraid of is just the guy behind you. With your three-legged cat skills, you don't think you can be proud of being able to suppress me, do you? Mao Jen Senbon. Hair flew like a rainstorm, but this time Kushina did not dodge and faced it head-on. Senbon fell on Kushina's body, instantly creating countless wounds, but Kushina seemed unconscious and ignored the attack of the Watermelon Mountain pufferfish ghost and continued to manipulate the diamond chain to stab. Golden chains wrapped around her hands, like the claws of 5 beasts. What? The Watermelon Mountain pufferfish ghost hurriedly escaped, but a golden chain had wrapped around his body before he knew it. Kushina's claws pierced the chest of the Watermelon Mountain puffer ghost without any hindrance, bringing out a stream of bright red blood. How can it be? I am Kurigakure's Jonin. While speaking, the Ziguashan pufferfish ghost looked at the wounds on Kushina's body that were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye, vomited a mouthful of blood, and then fell to the ground helplessly. It is the body of Uzumaki activated by the stimulation of the curse seal. Orochimaru's figure gradually appeared. He was already there, admiring his masterpiece and this wonderful performance. He gave himself a large amount of chakra to Kushina, and even drew out the power of the Uzumaki clan that was originally hidden in Kushina's body. Orochimaru wears a dark robe and an Anbu mask, watching the war in the distance. Since you have avenged your dead people, let's go, Kushina. Orochimaru lowered the brim of his hat slightly. Kushina, who clearly had her revenge, did not feel any joy. She just stared blankly at the body of the Watermelon Mountain pufferfish ghost. He looked aimlessly at his hometown that had turned into ruins in the distance. Why did I survive? I'm the only one here, what's the point of living? Orochimaru rubbed Kushina's red hair, covered Kushina's face with his mask, and at the same time took back his own power. The power of the heavenly curse seal gradually dissipated, and he could feel the tears on the girl's face behind the mask. The deaths of loved ones and friends are truly sad. But at least you survived and got your revenge for them. You can live in Konoha from now on, with the blessings and expectations of your tribe and friends. As long as you keep living, sooner or later you will find the meaning of life. For example, it is precisely because I have lived until now that I can meet such an interesting person like you. Orochimaru's magnetic voice came, and the sobs under the mask paused slightly. Kushina looked up at Orochimaru in confusion. Orochimaru held Kushina's hand and slowly entered the gate of Konoha. The ninja at the gate saw Orochimaru Anbu's certificate and immediately let him go. As the next Jinchuriki personally named by the first Hokage's wife Uzumaki Mito, all relevant personnel were greeted by the Hokage in advance. In just a quarter of an hour, Kushina completed the process of Konoha identity and officially became a Konoha village villager. Kushina looked at the busy streets around her and couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. She even held Orochimaru's hand tightly. Can I really fit in here? Orochimaru naturally noticed Kushina's uneasiness. This is the fear of being in a foreign land, the loneliness of having no relatives or friends. Let's meet Tsunade and Uzumaki Mito Senpai. Mito Senpai is the wife of the first Hokage and also the senior of your Uzumaki clan. And Tsunade is Mito Senpai's granddaughter. Next, you should live with them and get along with them for a while. Don't you live with Orochimaru Senpai? Kushina's hand holding Orochimaru couldn't stop shaking because of nervousness and uneasiness. The only person she was most familiar with in the entire Konoha village was the man next to her. Although she exudes a cold chakra, it was Orochimaru who saved her in times of despair and gave her the power of revenge. Coupled with the past few days of getting along, she has gradually developed an emotion called dependence on Orochimaru. After all, Orochimaru may have been the person closest to her after the fall of the Uzumaki kingdom. Orochimaru's pupils shone slightly as he looked in the direction of the Hokage rock. Unfortunately, neither Sarutobi-sensei nor Danzo will agree to you living with me. But Tsunade and I are teammates. If there was no war, we would see each other often. War. Kushina seemed to remember the scene of the destruction of the Kingdom of Whirlpool again. She felt a little disappointed for no reason, but she quickly forced herself to cheer up again. She also knew that her expectations might cause trouble for Orochimaru, so she changed the subject. Tsunade Senpai and Mito Senpai, what kind of people are they? Tsunade and Mito Senpai. Orochimaru couldn't help but laugh when he thought of Tsunade's usual carefree image. You'll understand once you've seen them. The house of the Senju clan. The glory of the once prosperous Senju clan is long gone, and this huge clan is also in a state of depression. During the Senju Hashirama period, the first Hokage took the initiative to ask the Senju clan to give up their surnames and integrate into Konoha through large-scale intermarriage with commoners, integrating the clan into one village. Only a very small number of Senju clan members who were unwilling to change their surnames chose to keep their surnames. Even Hashirama's direct descendants, Tsunade and Nawaki, were among those who gave up their surnames. In a sense, the Senju clan has ceased to exist in name only. Orochimaru, you're here. Seeing a familiar figure, the girl with blonde hair in a ponytail waved to Orochimaru. She was wearing a white uniform, and her plump figure was almost ready to explode. Seeing Tsunade's energetic posture as always, Orochimaru couldn't help but smile. Tsunade, you're still the same. I take it as a compliment. Tsunade smiled and took Orochimaru's hand, then looked at the red-haired girl hiding behind Orochimaru. Is this Kushina? I am Uzumaki Kushina. Tsunade-sama, please give me your advice. Kushina's breath stopped after being called, and she bowed to Tsunade with some restraint. Tsunade couldn't help laughing and rubbed Kushina's red head. There's no need to be so formal. From now on we will be a family living together. Let's go, Grandma Mito has been waiting for you for a long time. Then let's go. I haven't seen Mito Senpai for a long time. Tsunade and Orochimaru took Kushina deeper into the Senju mansion. Standing in front of Uzumaki Mito's room, Kushina, who was holding Orochimaru's hand, suddenly became nervous. She adjusted her clothes carefully and asked Orochimaru again. Orochimaru-sama, is there anything inappropriate about my appearance? Kushina was relieved when she heard Orochimaru's negative answer. Opening the door, an old man had been sitting on the bed waiting for a long time. Time has dyed Mito's Uzumaki clan's iconic red hair white, leaving countless wrinkles as traces. Tsunade, Orochimaru, and her cloudy eyes looked at the red-haired girl, showing a kind look. You're Kushina, right? Yes, she is Uzumaki Kushina. The last survivor of Uzushio village is also the one with the special chakra. In the word, special, Orochimaru slightly emphasized the tone. Uzumaki Mito heard the meaning of Orochimaru's words and was silent for a moment. On behalf of the Uzumaki clan, I would like to thank you for saving Kushina from the Mist Shinobi. Orochimaru, I am here to thank you as an Uzumaki clan for saving Kushina from the Mist Shinobi. Orochimaru smiled and only responded with a husky voice. This is my job. Uzumaki Mito couldn't help but look at Orochimaru, the man who would most likely become her grandson-in-law. She often heard Tsunade talk about this fresh, handsome and talented boy, and she could detect Tsunade's admiration for Orochimaru's genius, his trust in Orochimaru as a companion, and his feelings that were vaguely beyond friendship. For her with Kagura's eyes, these emotions cannot escape her eyes. However, because of Kagura's insight, Mito may have a deeper understanding of Orochimaru than Tsunade. Orochimaru is knowledgeable, calm and wise, but the eerie and dark chakra also tells the story of Orochimaru's ruthless and unscrupulous side. Orochimaru is not like his husband Senju Hashirama who loves everything, but more like Hashirama's younger brother Senju Tobirama. Gloomy, cold and domineering is the main color of this man. Uzumaki Mito is very pleased with this. The first ninja war that broke out immediately after Hashirama's death had gradually made the old man understand. For people whose strength cannot reach the level of pushing the world, being as naive as Hashirama will only cause harm to themselves. His younger brother Senju Tobirama is the most adaptable character to this war-torn world. What's more, for Anbu members like Orochimaru who walk in the darkness all year round, accompanied by blades and blood. Living well in this chaotic era is the only wish of this old man with one foot in the coffin for his granddaughter and grandson-in-law. Thinking about it, Uzumaki Mito couldn't help but look at Tsunade. When will you let me hold my great-grandson? Orochimaru and I are just normal teammates. Tsunade, who had been carefree at first, suddenly turned as red as an apple. And we're only in our 20s now, so we're still very young. In the Sengoku era before the founding of Konoha, there were many people who got married and had children at a younger age. But Uzumaki Mito still didn't spare Tsunade. Konoha is on the brink of war now. Let's talk about these things after the war is over. Orochimaru's husky voice broke Tsunade's awkwardness. Uzumaki Mito stopped asking further questions. When she heard about the war, the smile on her face slowly disappeared again. Uzumaki Mito sighed slightly. Tsunade, go stay with Orochimaru. I have something to talk to Kushina. Mito winked at Orochimaru. Orochimaru understands that as Captain Anbu, he knows more than Tsunade. The next topic was not convenient for Orochimaru and Tsunade to hear. After all, it is about Konoha's war weapon, the Nine Tails, that can only be controlled by the Hokage. So Orochimaru took Tsunade and left Mito's room, leaving only an awkward Kushina with Mito. Seeing Orochimaru and Tsunade walking out of Uzumaki Mito's room, a voice suddenly sounded in the Senju clan's mansion. Sister, and Orochimaru senpai. A boy with brown hair waved excitedly towards Orochimaru and Tsunade. This boy is of course Tsunade's younger brother Naoki. As he spoke, he pushed the Konoha shinobi forehead protector he wore on his forehead showily. Sister, I have graduated from the Ninja Academy and become an official ninja. Soon I'll be as great a Hokage as Grandpa. If you want to become a Hokage, you have to work hard. After hearing his brother's declaration, Tsunade couldn't help but laugh. Otherwise, the fourth Hokage is probably your Orochimaru senpai. Naoki's face fell. Orochimaru senpai also wants to compete with me for the position of Hokage. Then I'd better compete for fifth Hokage. Ha ha. Seeing Naoki's embarrassment, Tsunade laughed. Then let's do our best as the fifth Hokage. Correct. As he spoke, Tsunade seemed to remember something and took out a light blue crystal necklace from his pocket. This is a relic left by Grandpa. Just think of it as your graduation gift from my sister. Kushina has been resettled. The next step is to let her enter the ninja school with other peers. Orochimaru pushed open the door of Hokage's office, looked at the man sitting in Hokage's seat and smoked a cigarette and said, "The current third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen is only 50 years old, in his prime, far from the aging in the original work. His eyes were sharp, and his whole body exuded terrifying chakra fluctuations." I see. Sarutobi Hiruzen listened to Orochimaru's report and was silent for a moment. The war is about to break out, the situation on the front line is getting more and more tense, and our ninjas in Konoha are already insufficient. I plan to have the 3 batches of students graduate at the same time to replenish the number of frontline ninjas. Sarutobi Hiruzen puffed out his smoke sadly. But this leaves a gap in the number of Jonin leading the team, and we can only reluctantly replace them with some experienced Chunin. Orochimaru, you should also leave Anbu and become the leader Jonin. With that said, Sarutobi Hiruzen threw the 3 ninja information on the table in front of Orochimaru. Tsunade told me in advance that he hopes Naoki can become your subordinate. Looking at the name on it, Orochimaru quickly understood Sarutobi Hiruzen's arrangement. Naoki, Uchiha Makoto, and a civilian ninja who made up the numbers. Want over some Uchiha to divide the family internally, and win over civilian ninjas to form a check and balance with the ninja family. Orochimaru smiled and glanced at the remaining pile of information in Sarutobi Hiruzen's hands. Aburame Shuei, Nara Shikaku, Akamaiki Dingza, Yamanaka Haiichi. Familiar names appeared in front of Orochimaru one after another. These ninjas will all be named Jonin in Konoha in the future. Suddenly, his eyes stopped at a certain location. This child is. Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his eyebrows. He had rarely seen Orochimaru take such great interest in a genin. Even the grandson of the first Hokage did not have this honor. Sarutobi Hiruzen followed Orochimaru's gaze. Her name is Yakushi. Her parents died while on a mission, and she grew up receiving subsidies from Konoha. Her theoretical scores are very good and her basic skills are very solid, even compared to genin who just graduated. So I agreed to her application for early graduation. What's wrong, are you interested in this student? It's nothing, it's just that this last name reminds me of an old friend. And even though he is not the same age as Kushina, he has already graduated from the Ninja Academy, which makes me a little surprised. Orochimaru's eyes flickered slightly, but he didn't explain much. Hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled. Nanoyu graduated from the ninja school at the age of 8. Although he is indeed very talented as a civilian, compared to you who graduated at the age of 6 and was promoted to Chunin at the age of 7. Orochimaru listened to Sarutobi Hiruzen's teasing, just smiled softly, and looked at the Hokage rock outside the window. To be precise, it is the stone statue of first Hokage Senju Hashirama. He is indeed a genius who has subverted the perception of Sarutobi Hiruzen and even the entire Konoha. Graduated from the ninja school at the age of 6, was promoted to Chunin at the age of 7, and was promoted to Chunin at the age of 11. As the captain, Jonin leads Tsunade and Jiraiya, who are still Chunin, on missions. Later, Orochimaru entered Anbu at the age of 17, became the captain of the Anbu division at the age of 18, and became the captain of Anbu at the age of 20. Now Orochimaru, even facing the third Hokage who stands at the pinnacle of the ninja world, does not have the slightest fear. As long as he continues to grow normally, he will definitely become the strongest Hokage after the first Hokage. However, his so-called genius is just a mortal in front of real destiny children like Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. That's why he needs to step into taboos. Enter Ruchi Cave to learn Sage Mode, gain strange powers through Tsunade's cells, and access Nine Tails through Kushina layout. As for No, the reason why she attracted Orochimaru's attention may just be that Orochimaru thought that she could become a similar substitute for Yakushi Kabuto in the original work and become his research assistant. The next day, at the ninja school, all the students looked at the red-haired girl curiously. Feeling the attention of everyone, Kushina felt a little uneasy. This will be transferred to our class starting today. Before the teacher could finish speaking, Kushina had already spoken. I'm Uzumaki Kushina. Take a big plunge. But the strange oral habits that came out of her mouth made Kushina cover her mouth in embarrassment. The students below couldn't help laughing. Look at the color of that hair, it's unbelievable. How can I become so red? Tomato. From today on, let's call her Tomato. With a fat round face and red hair, he looks like a tomato. Listening to the ridicule of the classmates below, Kushina flinched a little, but she still managed to muster the courage. I want to be the first female Hokage in this village. But these students didn't buy it. How can a tomato be a Hokage? I hate tomatoes the most. Me too, if there's tomatoes in the salad, I'll pick them out. How can a tomato that is not liked be recognized by the villagers? Ha ha ha, look at her angry look, like a ripe tomato. Such discussion made Kushina blush. Looking at this scene, a blond boy opened his mouth, as if he was planning to say something. But at this moment, a hoarse voice sounded, causing the entire classroom to fall into silence. Tomatoes are very nutritious food. I hope you are not picky eaters. Orochimaru appeared at the door of the classroom at some point. Lord Orochimaru, why are you here? The teacher Chunin recovered from his daze and saluted hurriedly. The teacher chosen to care for Nine Tails Jinchuriki was also a member of the Konoha Anbu. Only because he was injured during the mission and lost the possibility of continuing to fight as a ninja, the third Hokage arranged for him to teach in the ninja school. Facing Orochimaru, his former direct superior, he was naturally respectful. Do not be nervous. I'm here to get my subordinates and stop by to take a look. Orochimaru glanced around with his golden pupils and paused for a moment on a certain blonde boy. Namikaze Minato. However, as he has not yet studied under Jiraiya, he has no chance to come into contact with the Flying Thunder God technique. He is just an ordinary student with the title of genius. Thinking about it, Orochimaru's eyes flickered slightly. I hope you get along well. After leaving these words, Orochimaru disappeared from the sight of all students, leaving only the classroom that suddenly became quiet. On the rooftop of the ninja school, Naoki and Makoto were waiting here early. After receiving the notice from the teacher, they knew that each other was a companion in the first class, and came here to wait for the arrival of the instructor Jonin. I wonder who our teacher will be. I don't know, but to be chosen as a teacher for talented graduates like Naoki and Makoto, he must be a strong and reliable ninja, right? I wonder if he has the same strength as Orochimaru senpai. In the interval before Orochimaru arrived, the three of them started chatting. But basically Naoki and Haruno were talking, while Makoto just listened silently. Haruno Zhao, this civilian ninja with pink hair is naturally the third genin in Orochimaru's team. Suddenly, a burst of white smoke interrupted Naoki's words, and Orochimaru's figure appeared in front of the three children. Orochimaru Senpai. Naoki's eyes widened, slightly surprised. Our instructor is actually Orochimaru Senpai. I thought senior would have a more important mission. Haha, teaching you genin is also a very important job. Orochimaru looked at the three boys and girls and couldn't help but lick the corners of his mouth. Then from today onwards I will be the leader of your first class, Jonin. Naturally, he had no interest in letting the three of them snatch the bell like his teacher did. As Captain Anbu, he has all kinds of information about Konoha, big and small, and he knows the strength of the three of them clearly. A Senju who has a huge amount of chakra and has reached the Chunin level in terms of combat power, an Uchiha who has not yet opened the Sharingan and is an elite genin level, and the last one is a civilian genin that you don't need to care about at all, and the ordinary can no longer be ordinary. Teamwork is not worth mentioning at all in Orochimaru's opinion. In his opinion, for a ninja, only the pursuit of self-strength is the right way. Just like at the beginning, he did not cooperate with Jiraiya Tsunade at all, and directly relied on his own strength to grab the bell from Mr. Sarutobi. Relying too much on others will only lead to the same fate as the Uzumaki clan. Just briefly introduce yourself, tell me your name and what you are good at. During the brief silence, the brown-haired boy suddenly spoke. The teacher should take the lead in this kind of thing, right? Otherwise, wouldn't it be unfair if we introduced ourselves and the teacher didn't? Naoki, this will leave a bad first impression on the instructor Jonin. Listening to Naoki's words, Haruno Zhao suddenly became nervous, fearing that Naoki would cause dissatisfaction with the team leader Jonin. But Orochimaru just smiled. My name is Orochimaru. Things I'm good at. Well, judging from your level, there shouldn't be anything I'm not good at. If you dream. Orochimaru's golden pupils revealed a hint of ambition. Just like the ever-changing colors, there should be thousands of different techniques in this world. I want to master all the ninjutsu in the world and know all the truths in the world. Hey, I thought you also wanted to become a Hokage, Orochimaru Senpai. Naoki was slightly startled. Hokage. That's just the method, not the end. And that kind of thing is easily available to me, and it is far from worthy of being called a dream. Orochimaru looked at the Hokage rock in the distance, where stood the stone statues of the first Hokage, the second Hokage, and Sarutobi Sensei. But such a lofty dream as mastering all ninjutsu will definitely take a lot of time, right? Makoto, who had been listening silently, couldn't help but ask. Orochimaru's golden eyes glanced at Makoto. You're right. So for this dream, I want to gain eternal life. My true dream is to become the ultimate being who is immortal and masters all the arts in the world. After Orochimaru took the lead, Naoki naturally took the lead. My name is Naoki. I am good at water style and earth style. My dream is to become the Hokage who protects the village like my grandfather. A hearty smile appeared on the boy's face. The smile was extremely contagious, and for a moment it made the other two boys and girls relax a little bit. Water style and earth style. Orochimaru smiled slightly, not knowing what he was thinking. With Naoki taking the lead, the black-haired girl also put down her reserve and said, My name is Uchiha Makoto. I am good at kunai and shuriken. I also know some low-level fire-style ninjutsu in my family. If you dream. Makoto thought carefully for a few seconds. I haven't thought about it yet. I probably just want to become a powerful female ninja first. The pink-haired boy was still a little uneasy. My name is Haruno Zhao, my dream. Haruno opened his mouth, wanting to say Hokage as handsomely as Naoki, but the words got stuck in his throat midway. Could it be that he is overestimating his abilities? My dream is just to find an ordinary wife, give birth to a lovely daughter, and live out my life peacefully. It's a pity that I don't know any ninjutsu. I don't know if I can help you. It doesn't matter. If you can't fight, just let me protect you. Naoki smiled and showed his white teeth. As if being infected by Naoki, both Makoto and Haruno couldn't help but smile. Watching the interaction between the three children, Orochimaru's golden eyes shone slightly. It's great, it's so infectious like Senju Hashirama. But, you, who is being watched by everyone but does not have that overwhelming power, are the one who is most likely to die. However, in a war, no one can guarantee that they will survive. Except me. Orochimaru added mentally. If you fail the mission because you are weak, it will not only lead to the death of yourself and your companions, but it may also lead to the failure of the war. Orochimaru paused, staring at Haruno's guilty expression, and his hoarse voice revealed a seductive power. I have a technique that can greatly improve your fighting ability. If you want, as my disciple, I can teach it to you. You actually have such a technique. Haruno's breathing suddenly became rapid, but he looked at the two companions beside him and suddenly hesitated again. He didn't know if this was a test for the leader Jonin, and if he was the only one to accept it, he didn't know if he would be looked down upon by his peers. Then I'll give it a try. Noticing Haruno's hesitation, Makoto smiled sweetly. As expected of Orochimaru-senpai, he has even developed such a technique. Naoki also looked at Orochimaru with some admiration, but changed the subject. However, I am very strong, so I don't need to rely on outside help, and I would rather become a Hokage on my own. Of course, I respect your opinions. Orochimaru looked at Naoki with his golden eyes, as if he didn't care about their choice. Third Hokage. A man wearing Uchiha's ancestral Uchiha robe appeared on a nearby branch at some point. He stared at Orochimaru on the rooftop and clenched his fists. What's wrong? You look like you want to kill me. A hoarse voice came from behind, and the Uchiha ninja hurriedly used the body flicker technique to distance himself. Looking at Orochimaru who suddenly appeared next to him, and then glancing at Orochimaru who was still standing on the rooftop, the Uchiha ninja quickly understood the current situation. Shadow clone. Although it is a question, the tone is extremely affirmative. Orochimaru also recognized this person's identity. Uchiha Yashira, a member of the Konoha police force, is a ninja of the same generation as Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Jiraiya. Barely considered a genius. It is said that he is a genius because, if he had not met Orochimaru and Tsunade, in other classes, the 8th generation of Uchiha, who had received elite education from the Uchiha family since childhood, would have become the chief student with a high probability. It is said that it is reluctant because this kind of ordinary genius can only be eclipsed in front of a genius like Orochimaru who is called a once-in-a-century genius by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Throughout his career in the Ninja Academy, he can only be beaten. Speaking of which, he is also one of the 3 Uchiha tribesmen who provoked Uchiha Itachi after Shisui died in the original work and was severely punished. Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Yashira with a half-smile. Tell me, what do you, or the Uchiha clan, want from me? Uchiha Yashira snorted, and his eyes turned into Scarlet 3 Magatama. HMPH, Orochimaru, now that you have discovered it, I won't hide anymore. I'm here to give you a warning. Uchiha Makoto, as a noble Uchiha clan, cannot be taught by a commoner ninja like you. And, your conspiracy to divide Uchiha internally has been known to us for a long time. Give up your dirty plan, otherwise. Uchiha Yashira's Scarlet Sharingan burst out with murderous intent. Uchiha won't be polite to you. Just because of, you. Orochimaru's slightly surprised tone deeply hurt Uchiha Yashira's heart. He suddenly remembered the memory of being always overwhelmed by Orochimaru and Tsunade during the ninja school. He remembered that every time he tried to challenge Orochimaru after mastering a new ninja, he was beaten by Orochimaru over and over again. How could the proud Uchiha clan forget such humiliation? Uchiha Yashira had an annoyed look on his face. The person who awakened Sharingan is not comparable to me from the ninja school. Although you were the youngest Jonin in the history of Konoha, you resigned yourself to disappearing from everyone's sight 5 years ago. And during your 5 years of silence, I completed countless tasks and grew into an elite Jonin of the Uchiha clan. Even you can defeat me now. Orochimaru graduated from the ninja school at the age of 6 and became a disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen. He was promoted to Chunin the next year and Jonin at the age of 11, becoming the captain of the team and leading Tsunade and Jiraiya to complete countless missions. At that time, Orochimaru, the youngest Jonin since the founding of Konoha, almost shocked the entire Konoha. Facing the time-traveled Orochimaru, even the later Kakashi would probably have to settle for second place. But after Orochimaru joined Anbu 5 years ago, this talented genius slowly fell out of the public eye. Naturally, the tasks performed by Anbu, who puts confidentiality first, are not known to small characters like Uchiha Yashira. Whether Tsunade, Jiraiya or Uchiha Yashira's impression of Orochimaru almost only stayed 5 years ago. Oh, is it so? It can actually bridge the gap between us. I didn't expect Sharingan to have such power. Hearing Orochimaru's words, Uchiha Yashira was angry but also felt a little proud. That's right, the limits of the noble bloodline of the Uchiha clan are beyond the imagination of you commoners. Whether it is insight, ninjutsu, taijutsu, or genjutsu, Sharingan improves us in all aspects. It is a power that only the geniuses of the Uchiha family can possess. That's really enviable. The corner of Orochimaru's mouth raised a strange arc, and then he couldn't help but lick the corner of his mouth. How wonderful, the power inherited from Sage of Six Paths. I want it too. Thanks for watching, subscribe and support my channel.